Thank you, youth coaches. I know a lot of you probably are parents and want to give your kids these opportunities, so you just volunteer your time. You probably don't have the confidence in your own abilities, but you're doing it anyways for the betterment of the kids in your community, on your team. And just know that people are always going to second guess you, but guys like me, thank you. You're not going to make all the wrong decisions. You're not going to make all the right decisions. Just do what you feel is right for your kids and on your team. And just know that I'm very grateful and thankful that you guys take that time and that opportunity to expose the game of basketball to those kids at all ages. Without you guys in our community exposing and putting that commitment to our kids and our youth, our high school team and our middle school teams and our high school teams don't reap the benefits. So I don't get out to see each and every one of you play and practice as much as I'd like to, but we're kind of in the middle of our season at that time. But I want to take a second to say thank you for your time and commitment. The purpose of these goals, the goals of these videos, are simply to give you a resource bank. I'm not here, we are not here to tell you how to do things. And this is the way it has to be, because there's a lot of ways to do a lot of different skills. I am simply want to provide you some video clips and maybe some philosophy and some terminologies that we use at the high school level that probably could benefit you at your youth level. First and foremost, the first thing that we always get requests for is, how do you plan a practice? So today is going to be just a chalk talk on just simply practice planning. As we get further into this video library, we will start being on the court, demonstrating with some of our high school kids some of the concepts and teaching points that we think can benefit you. Now, we've talked about doing these videos for a number of years. And the part that always has troubled me and prevented me from doing it in the past is, where do you start? Because we have third graders and all the way up to sixth graders, and some kids have never touched a basketball, and some kids are playing 18 weekends a year. So the skill level that you guys have to deal with is extremely variable. I get the easy job at the high school level. They're all pretty good basketball players by the time they get here. So my job is pretty easy compared to what you guys have to do. When we start this whole deal, just know that you can add difficulty or take back the difficulty that fits your need for your program and for your kids. And we'll try to make it progressive and show you some progressive steps to those drills when we get to that point. The first thing we want to talk about, though, is practice planning. And honestly, after about the first week or 10 days of our season, we really have dialed back our practice sessions to 90 minutes. When I first started coaching, we were going 2.5, 2:45. And that probably served a purpose back in those days. But now our kids are pretty skilled and pretty talented as far as the basketball concepts go. We feel like a 90-minute high-intensity practice really keeps the kids focused, keeps them on task, and keeps the energy and effort level where it needs to be. Anything after about 90 minutes for our guys, there's a lot of wasted time, and kids start dragging and walking and messing around. And then just the ability to focus and stay on task at a high energy level, anything after 90 minutes becomes a little bit of a challenge for us. So don't feel like if you go 75 minutes to 90 minutes that you're not getting enough done, as long as it's structured correctly. And when I mean correctly, just have certain concepts within your structure. So we'll get right into it here. A couple things. The misconception is you will hear a lot of coaches say, well, our kids don't have the skills. They don't have the fundamentals. We just need to go back to the fundamentals. And I think that probably is true, but what I think the misconception might be is that people think fundamentals of basketball is solely just dribbling, passing, and shooting. Okay? What I want you guys to understand is when we say fundamentals, that could be simply guarding the basketball. That could be closing out to the basketball. That could be your footwork coming into a shot. And we'll get on to all those things as this video library progresses, but understand the concept of fundamentals of basketball simply to me means any skill that you or your player, individual players, need to be able to perform at a high level to be successful. Okay, so yes, dribbling the basketball is a fundamental. Shooting the basketball is a fundamental. Passing the basketball is fundamental, but it's not just limited to that. So when you say, well, geez, it's hard to do dribbling for 45 minutes of fundamental practice. Well, you don't have to do it for 45 minutes. There's plenty of other fundamentals that we can get to, and I'll get to that stuff in a second. So the first thing we do is at the high school level, and probably as you have your practices, if you have a practice at 7 p.m., kids are getting dropped off every 3 or 4 minutes. They don't come in all at the exact same time. So we just start with a pre-practice. Okay, pre-practice expectations. Pre-practice expectations simply mean, okay, you need to get this, this, and this done, excuse me, while you're waiting for us to start practice. So at us at the high school, we start practice at 3:15, okay? The bell rings at 2:58. By the time the kids get down here, kiss their girlfriends, and get ready for practice, we're on the court and starting practice by 3:15. So a lot of times those kids probably will be 3:07, 3:08 before they get onto the court. Okay, so that gives them about 7 or 8 minutes to get stretched out, to do some form shooting, to do some footwork stuff, and all those types of things. So I would say have a list of, 3 to 4 minutes, maybe 5 minutes, okay, 3 to 5 minutes of fundamental practice stuff. That can be specific for your guards, it can be specific for your post players, or even better yet, at the Big Sioux level, they should all do all of them. Okay, so what I mean by that is even your post players should go out on the perimeter and do some of that stuff. Even your guard should go on the post and do some of that work. If they want to do 2-ball dribbling, stationary, that's great. If they want to do just the form shooting, if you want to take them through that progression, that's a great time to do that. Okay, so pre-practice, 3 to 5 minutes. Maybe you want them to get 200 bounces with the ball. Head up, in a stance, 50 right, 50 left, alternating, 2-ball, stationary. That's a good time for that. And then when you blow the whistle, at 3:15, okay, at 3:15 we start practice. Okay, and we go right into our transition. If I could spell, that would help. Okay, and again, this is about 7 to 8 minutes of our practice. This can be full court, offense, or defense. Okay, this might be defensive transition, teaching them where to go, teaching them how to get back on a missed shot or a made shot, teaching them where to get matched up, find your guy so the other team isn't getting a layup. Offense, it could be about spacing, running the floor, in your lane. Okay, when we mean that, that's fairly simple. Okay, here's half court, here's your court, here's your court. That's terrible. Let's draw this a little bit better. Okay, so you want your guards, okay, your 2 and your 3, 2 and your 3, right? Your 4-man probably takes it out. Your 5-man, rim runs, we call that rim run. Okay, he's just running to the rim, and your point guard obviously is going to get the outlet. He's going to look to advance, and then whichever side he advances, your post player takes that block. So we're just literally running wide outside the volleyball standards on your court, running wide so you can pitch it ahead and see your guy. We're just making 5 trips, 5 guys on your team, 5 trips, no defense, running your spots correctly. 2 and 3 are interchangeable, so it doesn't matter which side they go on, okay? 4 and 5 are interchangeable, okay? On a made shot, it's always the 4-man. But a lot of times on a missed shot, who gets the rebound? It's typically the 4 or the 5-man. So whichever one doesn't get the rebound, rim runs, okay? And so you're just running the floor. So it might be point guard to the 3-man. He might just go in for a layup. Point guard to the 2-man. He goes in for a layup. So you make 5 trips and let everybody score, okay? That would be transition, full court. And you're talking about running the floor, not jogging, okay? You're just talking about spacing. Most times, even at our level, guys are trying to sneak in here because it's a little bit harder to take those first 2 steps out. They just want to go up the floor. You got to keep spacing so that defense gets spread out so you can create offense. Okay, so we work on at least 1 or 2 of those drills every single day. That's how we get started, gets everybody loosened up and go from there. Okay, so that's transition. So far you got pre-practice, you got transition. Okay, and we'll get into some of these drills, guys. We'll get into some of these drills as these video libraries keep adding. But right now, we're just talking about planning your practice. As you make your own notes, hey, this would be good, this would be good, this would be good. This is what we want to do that fits our team. Those are choices you make. You don't have to do this exactly by any means, okay? But you should have some transition. Get guys running the floor. The game is transition. If you watch college and pro basketball, boy, there's a lot of points on the first 5 to 7 seconds of every possession. That's because teams are getting out in space and people are making 1 or 2 moves and 1 or 2 passes and scoring. To us, that's transition or early offense. You don't get the early offense if you don't get the transition. So that being said, it's become a vital part of the game. Okay? Next thing we would do then is we still certainly just go into the offensive skill set. Okay? Skill development. All right? This can be very simple individual development. So we're not doing team activities right now. It's scoring from the perimeter. It's post moves. Perimeter scoring. Again, we'll get into the footwork, we'll get into the post moves we teach at a later time. But it's something like that. The other thing that we do every single day is some kind of screening. Okay? Okay, it could be a pin screen down, it can be a down screen, it can be a back screen, it can be a flare screen. There's 4 different screens that we utilize or try to utilize. I'm not sure we're great at it yet, but it is a focus. So we do some kind of screening every single day. Okay, offensive skill development. This is typically, I would say, between 7 and 10 minutes. Okay? I wouldn't do any of this stuff 3 to 5 minutes, 7 to 10, whatever that might be. I wouldn't be afraid to change what you're working on, for sure, probably every 6 to 10 minutes, okay? There's nothing wrong with that. And if it's ugly, if it's sloppy and you're not happy with it, change directions and then come back to it, reteach it. There's nothing wrong with that. We'll have time at the end to revisit some of that stuff. Okay, so that's your offensive skill stuff. So your focus might be maybe somebody you're playing or something that you have strengths with is your post. You get some of that action, get some of those extra reps, scoring. A lot of times kids think, oh, well, we have practice twice a week or 3 times a week. Well, how many shots are kids actually getting in scrimmage? Okay? When you have your practice, don't make practice 45 minutes of scrimmaging because your kids probably aren't getting more than 6 to 10 shots in that 45 minutes if you balance everybody out on the team. Okay, maybe a few more than 10, but when you get that offensive skill development, they can really put up a ton of shots. Okay, that's part of that, and that's kind of some of the fundamentals as well. Okay, you can add that too. So you're talking the footwork on the catch, right? You're talking passes. Are the passes in the shooting pocket? Are kids catching it on the wing at their knees, at their highs? Those are all fundamental concepts that you can reinforce during this time, okay? The next thing we would do is team time, okay? Team offense. All right? There's your team offensive time. Now, this is where you can spend, this is half court, right? And this is probably up to 20 minutes, okay? Team offense. Now, this obviously can include all of our spacing, and for us, it's our motion concepts. Okay, so if we're working on cutting, if we're working on screening, if we're working on changing speed, okay, spacing, cutting, changing speed, screening. Sorry, my handwriting is average at the very best. So these are all concepts, and most of the time when we do team offense, for the first 3 minutes is 4-on-0 or 5-on-0, okay? So that's just your 5 guys or just your 4 guys just working on the concepts that you want to instill, the actions. When you start putting your offense together, if you're running a pattern, if you're running motion, okay, you're trying to get that fluid flow so people are moving, not just standing and watching. The thing that we all battle right now is basketball at the highest level, the NBA and the college, it's become a lot of isolation. And that's very hard for us to break habits because that's all kids see. And it's not their fault, but they think, oh, I'm going to pass it to the wing, and I'm going to stand and watch Billy over there go 1-on-1. And Billy takes 6 dribbles and doesn't get anywhere. And then he takes a bad shot. When in the reality is after I make a pass, if we are all teaching our kids after I make a pass, what is my next action? To keep the backside flow going. So this 3-on-0, this 3 minutes of 5-on-0, really makes kids talk and communicate what action they're doing because they can't just stand there. Otherwise, the offense is very stagnant. So this has become an important part, something that we've done more and more over the last 3 or 4 years, is this 5-on-0, 3 minutes, talking your action. Okay? The reality is no matter what offense you run, if it's a pattern offense, if it's a set, if it's motion offense, even if you're telling the defense what skill you're doing or what action you're doing, they still have to defend it. So if I'm Johnny and I'm out there on the wing and I want to go set a flare screen, I can say flare screen, flare screen, flare screen, so my teammates know that they're receiving that screen. The more we communicate our actions, the better off we are. And even if Johnny's saying flare screen, the defender knows he's going to set a flare screen, but he doesn't know what Johnny's doing next. Okay? So understand that being loud and being communicating is extremely important. And this 3 minutes of 5-on-0 really does a nice job with that. After that, then you go 5-on-5. You bring that defense in, and then you just get the reps. There's a lot of ways to do that. You can do make it, take it. You can do 10 possessions, then the other team gets 10 possessions, and you're keeping track of a score. Try to make it competitive, okay? And then keep track. Maybe you play to 6. First team to get 6 makes, okay? However you want to do that, then you can go 5-on-5, right? 5-on-5, but that's still half court. That's still half court. We'll play full court at the end or whatnot, okay? So, and then you go team offense. That's where we're at with that. So you use skill development right into your team offense. And you're kind of incorporating some of those things that you're really trying to talk on, all right? So those are your first 4 things. You can sprinkle in shooting drills or free throws anytime you want to give them a little bit of a break. Mentally and physically, maybe you want to talk to somebody. Hey, everybody else go shoot a 1-on-1. If you don't get both of them, you got to down and back or something like that, okay? Very seldom do we just line up on the line and run anymore without a purpose of basketball, okay? So understand just getting in shape can be how do you transition from pre-practice to transition to offensive skill development to team offense. How, or you just said, okay, get a drink, take your time, come back. Or are you moving? Blow that whistle, keep them going, jogging in between. Kids get in shape when you do that, so you don't have to take 10 minutes at the end of practice to condition. Okay, now if you want to do that and that's how you think it's vital, that's fine too. I'm just saying is we very seldom line up and run. If the locker room's a mess or if the equipment isn't picked up, then maybe we will. If kids aren't doing their job in the classroom, yeah, then maybe we will. But everybody will do that. If we leave the bus a mess or something like that, yeah, maybe we will. But as far as just getting in shape in practice, just to run, it's almost always, 98%, 99% of the time, it's got a basketball concept behind that, okay? So that's kind of our offensive stuff. Now I'll switch over, and that would be the next thing. So if we go pre-practice, hang on here, I'm going to switch things over here 1 second for you. And so these are the concepts over here I'll put on the wall. Pre-practice, then we go transition, then we go skill offense, right? Then we go team offense. Okay, is that all we got so far? 4 of them. Again, that's all on there. You can kind of look at that stuff. And then the next thing we go right into is a defensive skill, okay? And I'll get to that here as soon as I get this cleaned up. And we'll go back to let's go green here, huh? This is number 5, and we're going skill, defense. All right, and again, this is probably 12 minutes. I'm kind of a defensive guy, and Coach Kleinjohn's kind of our offensive guy, so if I get to be the head coach, then I get to have a little more time than he does. So we do a little bit more stuff on skilled team defense, and then we'll get to go rocking and rolling here. And this is kind of me, again, talking about, remember we talked about the first part of the video was the fundamentals. This is the fundamentals of playing defense. This could be teaching them to close out, okay? Guarding the dribble, right? See the ball. And probably more importantly than anything is the stance and balance. Okay, so we start with some of those things, and this could be just one-on-one. Right? Get a partner, get a ball, get a group of 2 balls, 3 guys, any of those types of things. And again, we'll go through these things in a video starting next week. But we're working on, we do closeouts every single day. Every single day. We work on guarding the dribble every single day. If you can guard the dribble and keep the ball out of the paint, you're going to be a very good defensive team. Okay, so we work on those 2 things every single day. This is something that if you can make at your level, kids be in a stance and be athletic so they can make their next action, you'll be way ahead of the game. And I would appreciate all those things because then we don't have to teach those when they come to high school. But defensive skill, again, the fundamentals of defense. Everybody says, wow, that's a pretty good defensive team. They do this, they do that, they do this. Well, they're a pretty good defensive team probably because their coach is spending time on the little things of playing good defense, okay? And then we get into the team defense, okay? Now, team defense gets really easy when guys can all do this stuff, okay? And I think most of you will know what shell drill is, okay? This is 4-man, no post. We even do 3-man, to be honest, because there's space, guarding. Guarding in space is really, really hard in high school basketball. It's really hard in high school AA basketball especially, okay? So we start doing all that stuff, and then we do 5-man with a post player. And then we actually do 5-on-6, and the offensive team gets 6 with 2 post players. So we're working on double the post, and we progress into all that, okay? If we want to double the post, if the other team's got a nice post player, we're just talking and rotating. But that's just the concepts of everybody moving, everybody guarding the basketball, okay? You're defending your guy, and this is what we say all the time. You're defending, okay? You're defending the basketball, but you're guarding your guy, right? And if your kids can get to this mentality, they're going to know where the ball is. They're going to move to the ball, because the guy with the ball is the only one that can really score, isn't it? It's not rocket science. I'm just a PE teacher, but even I know that. You got to guard your guy, no doubt about it, but you got to defend the basketball, okay? And that's what we preach, all the concepts that help that in shell drill, okay? So these two things, we probably give us somewhere around 30 minutes total, okay? And now you're looking probably, what did we say pre-practice was, 3 to 5? Transition was probably 6 to 8, right? Skill offense was 6 to 10 probably, and then team offense was 18 to 20. Now you're going defense, skill D, team D, right? And now you're going probably 8 to 12 minutes here, and you're probably going 14 to 18 minutes here, somewhere in there. Now you're adding up those minutes pretty doggone fast to get to 90, okay? And after we get to some of that stuff, then you might want to do, you might want to go right into your full court stuff, because by that time, especially the kids they just want to play, right? They just want to play basketball and get up and down. Hopefully in that 60 minutes prior to that, they've learned some things about basketball. They've learned a lot of concepts, and they're getting a ton of reps at those things, okay? Now, at some point, even our guys, we just got to see if they can transform what they've learned and apply it to the game, okay? We talk about that a lot in the fall and open gyms. Hey, you know, we did these workouts before school on Tuesdays and Thursdays all fall long. Why are you not applying it to when you play? All right, and that's got to be your goal, and just reinforcing that with whatever you want to do full court. All right, and this is totally up to you. Obviously, obviously we play 3-minute stretches, and we play very hard for 3 minutes. Limit the possessions. Okay. And then we might talk, we might bring them in, we might put situations in there and all those things. But for you guys, you probably, I wouldn't just say, hey, all right, the last 15 we're playing, okay? I wouldn't necessarily suggest that. I would say, hey, we're going to play 3 minutes, and then we're going to revisit some things. What of the concepts that we worked on today are we applying to our full court stuff? Get them to reinforce those concepts and talk and think about what they need to get accomplished for the day, okay? And then you might do some specials, okay? Specials we call situations, okay? Sets, any special plays, bobs, baseline out of bounds, okay? Slobs, sideline out of bounds. Okay, bobs and slobs, whatever you want to do for those. Those are all times for the specials you can do at the end of the time, at the end of your practice. And that's one more thing that they can. I like to do those at the end of practice because it keeps them engaged. Okay, they have to stay focused for that last 10, 15 minutes. Otherwise, if you do full court and they know they're done as soon as that full court is done, it just becomes open gym and it becomes recess.